The Battle of Thermopylae occurred at the coastal pass of Thermopylae in 480 BCE. The Greeks chose this location because the north is mountainous, and the pass is located between water and mountains, making it a good place to funnel the Persians. Because many of the northern and southern Greek city-states were not combining forces, the Greeks were hopelessly outnumbered by the Persians. The Greeks had about 10,000 hoplites and 300 ships, while the Persians' forces might have ranged from 100,000 to 500,000 soldiers. Sparta wanted to fight at the Isthmus of Corinth, while Athens wanted to fight at sea using their navy. To delay Xerxes and give Athens enough time to build up their navy, the Greeks sent out a sacrificial force to fight the Persians at Thermopylae. This force of 10,000 men was led by King Leonidas of Sparta. When Xerxes arrived at Thermopylae, he waited 4 days for the Greek army to surrender. When they refused to surrender, the Persians attacked. The Greeks retreated into the pass, drawing in some of the Persian forces, and when the Greeks had the pass blocked off, they attacked. The phalanx made it impossible for the Persians to get through the pass, but a Greek local named Ephialtes betrayed the Greeks and told Xerxes of another route around the pass. The Persians then planned to flank the Greeks and attack from behind. When Leonidas realized what the Persians were planning, he ordered his troops to evacuate, and left only 300 Spartans as a rearguard to defend the pass, allowing the Greek army enough time to retreat into southern Greece. Every Spartan warrior who was left behind perished, but it gave the other hoplites the time they needed to escape to safety. This was not really a Greek loss, because the Greeks never intended to win the battle. They only wanted to delay the Persians, and they succeeded at doing this. The Battle of Salamis occurred in the straits between Piraeus and Salamis in 480 BCE, where the Greeks fled after the Battle of Thermopylae. This was a good location for a naval battle because the Persians, with such a large fleet, were tightly packed in the small straits. The Greeks were equipped with 371 triremes and pentaconters, while the Persian fleet outnumbered their navy greatly with 1,207 ships. The Persians, led by Xerxes, were confident that they would be victorious, and decided to meet the Athenian fleet off the coast of Salamis Island. Themistocles sent a slave named Sisinus to Xerxes to misinform the Persians that the Greeks had been unable to agree on a battle location, and planned to quietly retreat in the night. When Xerxes heard this, he had his fleet blockade the western outlet of the straits in order to block the Greek ships from escaping. Despite Artemisia warning Xerxes to wait for the Greeks to surrender, Xerxes wanted to attack, and searched for the retreating Greeks. When Aristides learned that Themistocles' plan had worked, he allied with the Athenians to strengthen the Greek force. After searching for the Greeks all night, the Persians were exhausted, but they moved to attack the Greek fleet anyway. The Corinthian ships retreated into the straits, and the Persians followed them. A Greek trireme rammed the lead Persian ship, and the Greeks attacked. The Gulf was too tightly packed for the large Persian fleet to maneuver, and the Greek triremes were able to flank the Persian navy. It turned into a combat battle, with Greek marines and hoplites throwing dories at the Persians. Artemisia switched to the Greeks' side partway through the battle, and the Greeks were able to defeat the Persians. Xerxes then retreated to Hellespont, where he marched his army back over their bridge of ships, and returned home to Persia. More than 200 Persian ships were sunk in the Battle of Salamis. The Persians suffered far heavier losses than the Greeks, partially because many of the Persians did not know how to swim. The Greek victory was the turning point in the Persian Wars. It kept Greek culture alive, which in turn caused Western civilization to grow into what it is today. The Battle of Mycale and the Battle of Plateau occurred in the summer of 479 BCE. The Greeks assembled a large army of 40,000 hoplites and about 200,000 ships. They then marched to fight Mardonius at the Battle of Plateau. Meanwhile, the allied fleet sailed to Samos to attack the remaining Persian navy at their camp. The Persians had an army of 60,000 soldiers and about 300,000 ships, but they were demoralized from their loss at the Battle of Salamis. The Persians hoped to avoid a fight, so they beached their ships and made a palisaded camp on the slopes of Mycale. They chose this location because it made it difficult for the Greeks to flank them. The Greeks attacked the Persian troops, and the hoplites eventually defeated the Persian soldiers. which forced the Persians to retreat back to their camp. The Ionian Greek contingent of the Persian army then defected. The Persian ships were destroyed, and many Persians were killed by the Greeks. At the same time, the Battle of Plateau was taking place at the fields around Plateau. The Greeks had an army of 80,000 hoplites, and the Persians had about 90,000 cavalry and infantry. The Persians' numbers, however, were dwindling. The Greeks marched out of the Peloponnesus, and the Persians retreated to Boeotia to build an encampment near Plateau. The Persians hoped to draw the Greeks out to the plains near Plateau, which was excellent cavalry terrain, but the Greeks did not fall for the trick, which caused an 11-day stalemate. The Greeks started to retreat in an unorganized fashion, and the Persians, led by Mardonius, took it as a chance to attack. The Greeks then stopped their retreat and battled the Persians. They routed the Persian army to the encampment, where the Persians were wiped out by the Greeks. The loss of the Persian army, combined with the loss of their navy, ended the invasion, and marked a new phase of the Greco-Persian Wars, where the Greeks would take the offensive.